Hey, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of Wizards of the Couch, January of 2020. And we're back for another terrifying year of meandering and rambling and talking game stuff. And joining us tonight is our special guest, Skeeter Green, to talk about the old school Renaissance and also just gaming stuff in general. You know how it always goes. We wander around all over the planet. Friendly warning, adult show. We will be drinking. We will be swearing. We will be saying inappropriate things. So send the kids to bed unless they're like my kids and they can handle that shit. Quick introductions around the horn before we get to our special guest star. I'm Danny Grimes. I'm a professional GM. I'm a graphic designer. I'm a train maker and a cartographer. Do a lot of those things for Wizco Games. Now way down under is Matt, who owns and runs Cobalt Con. We call him KC Rift. He's also the head raven at the Blackwood Society and our fearless leader. Take a bow, Matt.
Good evening.
Up next to me, wait, other way, is Brian. I see that guy every fucking convention. Berg.
It's true.
He is a prolific author, game designer, and he is the monster under the stairs at Total Party Kill Games. And he kind of keeps everything organized around here for the show. And then we've got Jimmy Duffy, who is the chief reject at Praetor's Rejects Twitch channel. He runs games all the time over at that channel and on the Wizards of Couch channel. And he keeps this stream up and running and serves as our technical guy. He also kind of watches in on chat, keep an eye on what's going over there so you can tell us when y'all are sending us love or hate. Either are fine. And I guess that's it. Any quick announcements for everybody?
What's everybody drinking besides Brian, who apparently is drinking water?
Hey.
I am drinking some scotch. No, I'm drinking bourbon tonight. Fighting Cock.
Oh, man.
No drinking.
I'm having a soda.
All right, well, I guess we're the odd guys out. I've got Wobbly Man smoked Scottish ale.
Wobbly? I don't believe that at all.
You know, we should start a contest. We should start a contest, Matt, for who has the best named alcohol. But unfortunately, you just win.
He keeps winning. He's going to beat us.
All your shit is so good, and it has vanilla notes.
Oh, fuck that. Real beer does not have vanilla notes.
Yeah. So our guest tonight is Skeeter Green. If you have experienced the glory of the stuff from Frog God Games, you have read his stuff many times. He runs games. He writes prolifically. He's done a lot of cool stuff over at Frog God. Now he's out on his own. Indie publishing with SGP, Skeeter Green Press. Welcome to the show, Skeeter Green.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be in a group of such esteemed miscreants as are gathered right here.
Pushing it a little.
I like the esteemed part.
Yeah.
I think the total number of the times that the prefix miss has been applied to any of our behavior is probably higher than the average person. So anyway,
misfire, miscreant,
we kind of start every episode out with asking our guest like how it all started, just to get a little bit of that origin story. One of these days, I think we're going to publish them in rapid fire succession as a supercut video. So make it good, Skeeter, and make it up. I mean,
there I was in prison.
Yeah.
Making prison wine with Rob Schwab.
The date was Woodstock. It was a mud puddle. My parents met. No.
Too far back. Run it forward.
Too far back. Okay. Yeah. So the first time I ever played a game, I was over at my cousin's house, and the adults were watching the Seattle Supersonics play for the World Championship in basketball, and I was bored as fuck. So I went downstairs into the basement where nothing bad ever happens to me. And my cousin was playing this weird game with all these books and this paper and all this shit littered all over the floor. And I sat down, and within like 5 minutes, one of the people that was there was dead, and I was like, "Dead? I'm in. I love this." And that was my first D&D game, and it sucked. It was awful.
As most are. Yeah.
Well, the funny thing was, it was all based on these little tiny digest-sized books. So my first game goes back to the old
Chainmail days.
Chainmail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blackmore and
Yep.
You know, ever since we had that band on too, I wondered how music influenced. I mean, was there music you were listening to with this, or what was that?
Oh yeah, like, Black Sabbath, Kiss,
Striper, I'm sure.
I mean, no, this was in 78,
Winger too.
79.
Winger.
I don't think those guys were born yet.
No, they were born. They just weren't making terrible music yet.
ABBA, Carpenter.
Oh, it was it was the god awful Satanic Panic. Actually, my grandmother was religious, and at one point when she found out I was playing this game, she did say, "You're going to hell," and I was like, "It won't be for that."
There's such a long list ahead of that game.
That's the least of your concerns, grandmother.
Yeah, I've already got office space rented. I mean,
Exactly.
come on,
Exactly.
serious? That's it? No.
So if I had a more heady question to ask you, I think I'd ask this. If you can go back to that time, not necessarily that first game, but that like period of life, and think about it, is there something that you're doing today or still want to do today with what you're producing and what you're doing that goes all the way back? Like, man, I wish I could create something that would do a certain action in the game or anything.
Oh,
anything.
100%. I mean, the Crypt of the Science Wizard, my release for SGP was an homage to Tomb of Horrors. I wanted to have a 5th edition version of that game. Shameless plug.
Sciencey too. Sciencey as well.
Sciencey. But that was the thing, is that one, Tomb of Horrors always got the reputation that was Gary's fuck you module to his players. Like, here, you can't beat this. This is impossible to win. But you go in there and you die. Well, and that was the key for what I did for the traps and challenges in Crypt of the Science Wizard was I am not portraying the science wizard as I'm going to test you stalwart adventurers and see if you are worthy to obtain my vast hoard of magic and gems. It's like, no, here's my tomb. I'm going to kill you if you come in here. You can leave anytime you want. And,
Right.
and that's the way it is. And I've had people ask me, like, do you have a plot and a plan to get by this? And I was like, yeah, I could figure these out, because I wrote them, but I'm not here to test you. I'm here to kill you. It's up to you.
God, you and Jimmy are going to have like a little
like
intellectual love child here tonight. I can feel it happening already. Jimmy's first best choice is always kill them all. Kill them all.
Well, actually, I got off of that merry-go-round. It used to be that was the goal, was to see how many characters I could kill in a convention weekend. Now I'm trying to see if I can get people to finish the quest, and no, they can't. No, nobody's done it. Nobody's actually even come close yet.
They can't do it in the script. It's a no-win scenario.
I mean, you could, but
It's Gary Kahn.
I watched him run it.
I'm not
in
gonna
North
be a Gary
Texas.
Kahn.
Okay, they were dying like fleas. Okay,
But isn't it true though, across the spectrum of gaming, that there's got to be things at that other end, like however you feel about like killer dungeons and things like that, you still have to have them because it's a boundary for you to go toward. If that's your jam and you want the hardest thing ever, then somebody's got to write that shit.
I don't think that's actually it. I think really, here, let me mansplain this to you.
Okay, I'm going to sit back and spread my legs so that no one can sit next to me.
No,
Hey, before you get started, Alyssa wanted to make sure that you knew she was watching you.
yeah.
oh,
Her crew has arrived.
Alyssa, I love you. You are the darlingest person.
Boom, here comes the raid.
Apparently, they're bowing down before you, Skeeter.
Yeah, in the chat. So I was running Crypt of the Science Wizard in North Texas, and Jack got so into it. Alyssa's Jack. He threw a glass of wine at me, and because the map is printed on a shower curtain, it just beat it up, and I just pulled it off to the side and poured the shit on the floor. So that was great.
I'm going to take note of that.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not saying bodily fluids have been dropped on this map, but I'm not saying they haven't either.
For legal reasons, Skeeter can neither confirm nor deny those.
Yes, because I know lawyers. No, I think for good game design that's compelling, and if you want to terrify somebody, you get them as close to the death point as you can without the game master pushing them over due to the writing. Right. If people kill themselves because they think of doing dumb shit, that's the best. But you got to have the investment, and terror is investing.
Oh, man, I totally agree.
Do you think you kill them or do you think the adventure kills them because they don't think it through, or they think about it too much? Like,
there's some of both of that, because some of the traps are based on familiar tropes. So you think you know what to do, and I know what you're going to do because I've been playing this game for 40 years. I'm going to fuck you up with it. You know, there is a chessboard tile area. I know you're going to try and walk across it. There are 3 metal levers on a wall. I know you're going to pull them down.
Yep.
So there's some other stuff too and that is actually based off suggestions from my wife, because I tell her about my writing and I have her read it, because I think as a writer for D&D and fantasy role playing, if you have somebody who's not got decades of experience, if they understand what you're describing, you have a hit.
Absolutely.
If you have to base everything on prior knowledge of D&D or other games, then you're not hitting as wide of an audience as you can.
When I was prepping for my Gen Con round, I just had notes and ideas in my head, and I would sit around the fire with all my non-gamer friends and some gamer friends too, and just pitch it to them. Just be like, well, I'm trying to think about this. And all the non-gamers had tons of shotguns for me to say, boom, here's a thing that doesn't work. Here's a thing that doesn't work, is great.
Well, the best thing for my wife is we watch detective and cop shows all the time, and she's always figuring everything out. So what I got her into is I got her to play Call of Cthulhu. And that was right up her alley, because it's not based on game mechanics. Mm-hmm. You have to describe what you want to do, and the game mechanics help you. So, and that is a segue into the whole topic of this interview.
It is. And it's so good. It's so good that we're going to stop for
I've done this before.
Yeah. So 1 second. Shout out to all of our Patreon supporters, all the people who are jamming with us tonight on Twitch. Thank you so much. Last time we had our outing a couple weeks ago, we broke some records. We all did a little jig after the show, because also
I get paid for this?
We did.
Awesome.
Oh, wait. Hey, can you mute him?
You get paid in gratitude.
With pleasure.
With love.
You can pay me in pleasure. I'll take that. I heard that.
Skeeter, I'm going to pay you with love. But thanks to all the Patreon supporters. We just got a new patron today. We're going to try to work out a way of having them scroll or something. That's Jimmy's department. But
we are.
Peter's right. After thanking all of you, I just want to say, now we're going to talk about
I don't feel at all bad that goddammit Zach is a train wreck every episode that we do.
Yeah. We specialize in the slow motion train wreck.
Awesome.
So that segues into what we were just rolling on there. Matt, I think, had something he kind of wanted to start out with, and then let's all roll into conversation about it.
Yeah. So I mean, that was a Beautiful segue, Skeeter. Thank you very much. What does when we're talking about OSR to the uninitiated, what does it mean to you? Like, there's a lot of people that would say a lot of new players have had kind of a bad taste in their mouth, maybe with the OSR crowd or with the the curmudgeons and the old dudes.
Some of the old players have had that as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep,
Don't get me wrong.
sure,
It's not new player exclusive, but
No.
But what does it mean to you? Like, how do you define it? Let's start with that.
So just starting with the letters, it's people can't even agree on that. I mean, it's old school revival, old school
We can't even get off the
Renaissance.
ground.
No.
They're like libertarians.
Yeah.
Oh, ding.
Yeah. I don't want to get all political, but man, fuck those guys.
It's the
Anyway.
old Muppets arguing
Yeah.
back and forth.
Yeah, those guys are the best. That's the thing. And it's great that you bring that up because there is definitely a divide. There's always been a divide between editions. Edition wars are as old as the game, but there's
So
really
fruitful.
now. Yeah, there's really if you started like I did with 3 little books or 5 little books or 6 little books, and then worked your way and played all the editions of the game, it's different than people who came in for, say, 3rd edition or 5th edition or started playing Pathfinder or whatever. And the way I knew this was coming up, so I actually put some thought into this. And it's like
It's first time for everything.
games are like pizza.
I can't wait to see where this is going. All right.
Metaphor.
the OSR,
Sit back, kids.
back in the day when you had your choice of pizza, it was cheese, pepperoni, maybe a combination or supreme or whatever. And that was the fucking pizza you got to choose from.
I'm really shocked you didn't go with sausage.
I'm going to give you the sausage. Just
That's a
don't worry
different
about
story.
it.
You're
You already
Yeah,
said you're
that-
not going to GaryCon.
That story is going to happen later. That's Wizards After Dark.
Something we need to do.
marketing.
Yeah. But
Full
like
rip there,
now, pizza places have a 15-page document for all the shit you can have on a pizza. I mean, if you want braised Brussels sprouts on your barbecue chicken pizza, you can have that.
Then you don't want a pizza.
I mean, sure, why not? If it's
Tell me how to enjoy my pizza, Matt.
yeah, if it's something somebody wants and it's still pizza, it's still cool.
Right.
So I am not a fan of the edition wars. In the top 3 campaigns I ever had, one was a Pathfinder campaign with my wife, a friend of hers, and another friend of ours. And the reason it was better was sometimes with the OSR games, because they're so rules light, people who are new to the game don't know what they can do. So sometimes having like a skill structure or a feat set, that gives them a little bit of an outline of what they can do. Like if I describe, you go down a hallway, you see this ominous door wrapped in wrought iron with a huge keyhole and a lever handle. What do you do? The first question from newer gamers is like, well, what can I do? Right. So now if you have this list of skills, you can read through that and go, oh, well, I'm going to try and see if there's like a knife sticking out of it. They don't automatically know, oh, I'm going to, touch the door and see what the graining of the wood is. And I'm going to look for little wires and I'm looking for tiny holes and then you've got the asshole OSR DMs that go, oh, well, you didn't implicitly say that you were looking in the keyhole for the acid squirter, so it gets you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's got to be a collaboration between the game runner and the people playing. It's not one side against the other. It's one person challenging these other people, them giving feedback, and the DM working with that.
Now let me ask you, is it often like that with OSR GMs?
What, the gotcha?
No, like you said, like what it should be. I mean,
Oh, no.
it feels to me that
No, typically, it depends.
Mhm.
The hardcore proud, I've never played a game that was built after 1980. It's like, fuck you. Go in your basement and shut up. But those guys are somewhat rare that they're that hardcore because they don't leave their basement if they're that super hardcore. And I know I'm going to get a ton of shit for people saying, oh, that's a stereotype. It's a stereotype because it's true.
Yeah, I think
mean,
too.
Yeah, to
There's
some degree,
there's a part of what we talked about in the intervening week was just this idea that in many modern games you bring your story to the game, whereas in these older style games your story is the playing of the game.
Yeah.
So you don't need a lot of those rules about where you came from and who your mom was, because if it matters, the GM will include it. And then it could be cool. If he includes a storyline about your mom and why she was important, whatever, that's great. But if he doesn't, then just you focus on other stuff.
I didn't know we were going to bring up storylines about moms because I got one about yours, Danny.
Oh,
harsh.
Shots fired.
Okay. And actually, the thing that I love about the OSR games is not the rule set or any of the mechanics about it. And I have had the argument with other game designers that I don't care what set of mechanics you give me, I can run an OSR Feel game with anything. I can do it with 5e. I can do it with Pathfinder 2nd Edition. I can do it with you pick. It's fine. It's more of a vibe and an atmosphere than a rule set.
So
Some people go ahead.
So we're emphasizing basically what I'm gathering is that we're emphasizing problem solving and the game over what I guess people would traditionally call today like the story. All the players are involved in the storytelling, right? Is that kind of the big difference?
I wouldn't even say that because the people playing don't have to be successful. They don't have to overcome it. It's that feeling of the new experience. Like you guys remember the first couple of times you played and somebody described, this giant hulking beast, twice the size of a man comes out of the forest with a tree in its hand. And you're like, holy shit, what is that? Now it's like, yeah, a hill giant comes after you. And it's like, come on, give me the atmosphere and the flavor. And I think a lot of that is more ingrained to the older school games. However, the newer games are so deep into backstory and fluff text. It's like, holy shit. I mean, look at Pathfinder. The history and the detail in that is you can mine that for details as long as you want.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
And there's more.
And Forgotten Realms was the granddaddy of that.
Forgotten Realms is insanely detailed, and I loved that. It was a lot of fun. But the key is to enjoy it and have fun. It's not a competition. It just isn't.
I feel like OSR has always been a little bit like it's the experience as you play the game, and to some degree, it's very much been the game master versus the players.
Oh yeah.
Whereas I think, as Matt was saying, like today's style of GMing is the game master is the facilitator.
Oh, cooperative,
right?
Yeah.
Working with the players.
Yes and no. I think that lays more on the game master. Because if you have a good game master, they're gonna make a good game out of pretty much anything.
It feels like that might be the expectation. I guess what or what Brian was just describing seems like that might be the expectation people have, whether that's the Matt Mercer effect or whatever. But yeah, I think whether it happens, I think you're spot on though, Brian.
Yeah, I think it's a different social environment. Because I mean, when the OSR games came out in the 70s, you can't act like you're in the 70s nowadays.
Right.
And I mean, for a ton of reasons.
Yeah.
And, the people that really embrace that and are like, I'm never going to change. You've got some social issues
Right.
ingrained in you that are not for everybody.
Well, and if you look at the mechanics of role-playing games, they've evolved over the years.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Mostly due to what is enjoyable for the player.
Yeah.
And
So 5e's advantage and disadvantage mechanic, I think that is going to be a part of every game going forward because it is an elegant, simple solution.
Yep. And Schwab does it in his own way in Shadows with his Boon Bane,
Yeah.
where it
And I
gives the GM and the player some negotiating points where they can say, well, what about this? No, what about that?
Someone can argue with me, but I really think it's only been recent times where we've even gone so far as to say, hey, now we're going to make games that are easy to run for the game master, because Pathfinder is not an easy game for the game master to prep and play for. It can be.
No, it is not.
But in general,
but I would counter that with Swords and Wizardry. I mean, you can literally pick up, create a character in 5 minutes, and if you can read, you can read along. I mean, you can have a module handed to you and read along, and it's presented easy enough that if you have any experience as DM, you can pick it up and run it. So I agree with you for the most part. And that's another thing is there's no generalization that's going to take care of anything. And I am not at all shitting on the OSR. I've had a lot of old school games. If I get a chance at a convention to play in a 1E game by somebody who knows what they're doing, I love it. It's a lot of fun. I've had a lot of good times with those. Had a lot of good times in 5E games.
Yeah, in fact, it's been 2 years ago now. I can't hardly believe it, but the last 1E game that I sat down at a convention and played was with Alex Kammer, and we played a tournament game, and I cannot for the life of me, of course, I'm going to forget the name of the DM. But anyway, I mean, it was very refreshing to just sit back and like roll dice, try to solve the problem at hand, not have to worry about listening about the story and that sort of thing.
So you got your pepperoni pizza with some sausage.
And there you go. Yeah.
Not to say that Alex is the sausage in that analogy, but I'm not saying he's not.
Alex, I know you're watching.
Yeah. So
Alex, I know you're not watching because I'm the guest.
Going back to something you said earlier, Skeeter, and putting you on the spot a little, putting you in a hot seat a little bit. When you said you could take any game and run it that way, what are the qualities that you're referring to? So you pick up XYZ module. Somebody says, dude, you got an hour. I need you to run this game for me. And you flip it open. What are you thinking about to make it the style of game you enjoy?
So why did the person give me that module?
I don't know. You said I could just pick up anything.
No. But that's the first question.
Okay.
Is what is this person expecting to get out of this? Do they want immersion in, like, if this is, Secret of Salt Marsh, are they wanting the immersion of checking out this old weird abandoned house? Do they want to be scared? Do they want to succeed? So that's the first thing, is you got to find out what your table wants and always give them just enough and then take it away. Always want to leave them wanting more, which is my dating advice as well.
You can't steal my jokes that quickly.
I can see the gears spinning in your head. I'm like, he's going to say that. I better say it first. But yeah, that's being a DM, being a good DM is performance art.
For sure.
Because you have to put on a show. And I've made the quote, I don't know if you guys have heard it, but I'll say it again. And I always attribute it to Gene Simmons. I don't know if he's the one who said it. But there was an interview with somebody, and I think it was for KISS, that they were like, no matter how shitty you feel during the day, when you go out on that stage, those people paid money to see you. That's their hard-earned dollars. You give them the best show they've ever seen. And since I only play games at conventions now, if the people are at my table, I want them to leave like they have spent this 4 hours well. They've had fun. Sometimes they make new friends. They get new ideas. That's what I want to leave with. I mean, I don't want to have somebody go, well, that was a fucking waste of time, because I've been that guy and I felt that way and I was pissed.
And now if only KISS could take their own advice and
oh my God,
they could possibly have Ace Frehley play again, you know.
So they're on the we need to milk this for the last available dollar tour. And they're coming up to Washington in some godforsaken fucking town I had to look up on the map. I didn't even know where it was. It's almost to Portland. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
Anyway.
So as I thought about this a lot too, Skeeter. I know you said you prepared as well. And I think a lot about the community that we play in. And so my idea is always like, well, how can we get people who play more modern versions of this game to appreciate the qualities of old school games? And while some people who play old school do not necessarily want an influx of new players, I'm sure for whatever various reasons, to me, I have really gravitated to using OSR content because I was one of those guys back in the 80s, early 80s, who didn't want to play that kind of game. I wanted story, I wanted narrative, but the only tools I had were these fucking 3 pizzas. I only had 3 pizzas, but I wanted barbecue chicken, man. Fuck pepperoni. So pepperoni's been around forever. I don't care. So I rejected all that, and I added story and I added narrative, but I only had this skeleton to build off of. And then even when that started happening, where there was more writing, more narrative, I hated the stuff people were writing. So then I would read all that stuff and be like, I got to undo all this. I want to tell my own story. So now I've come all the way around and I'm running old school stuff because they don't include anything that I then have to change.
Right. It's like an outline.
Yeah, it's a skeleton of a challenging game that I can then put all sorts of little princesses and fairies and whatever I want in there. And there's still a rock solid challenging thing going to happen no matter how much cream cheese I smear on it.
So this is a thing that I've been
Analogies are getting messy, guys.
Bodily fluids.
So this is a thing that I've been doing at some conventions is I've actually been doing seminars. And it's been called SGP, Skeeter Green Takes on Small Publishing. And I have, 10 people show up, a dozen people, whatever. And the whole thing is, look at me. I am not an icon in role-playing. I am just a dude. And I decided, fuck it, I'm going to try and write a module. And I did it. And I got it published. And it was hard. And parts of it sucked. But I did it. And now my voice is in a book. I don't have the library that Mr. Brian Berg does. He makes products like they're falling out of his ass. But
some of them do. To be fair.
It's more about the ass. I'm always going to talk about Berg's ass. But that ties into what you're talking about the narrative. Mm-hmm. If you find somebody who's like, oh, teehee, I could never write anything, and then they put down, this manna from heaven that is this outline that's a fantastic idea, right? You help that person get that out there. Okay. The more people we have producing material, the more different kinds of pizza we have.
Right. Well, Let's go to the VTT pizza, Skeeter, because that's what I talk about, so how do you bring that OSR into the modern era of the VTT games? How do they play differently? I can
tell you exactly how you do it.
How did you do it?
So the concept for doing the VTT games is like when you're 50 years old and your friends live all over the country now and they can't fly out to each other, but everybody's got the internet. So you can get together for 3-4 hours if you can carve it out from family things, and you can play online. and it's perfectly fine to describe that and do theater of the mind. That was the way everybody played in the 70s with the 3 pizzas. But there are tools now. You can have an interactive map. You can have icons. Everybody can see where everybody's at on there. And if you release these old school modules so people can play, like I've played with people from Europe at the same time. I mean, I had one guy in China in a game that I was in, and I'm like, holy shit. This is crazy.
That is cool, yeah.
And having it's another topping to put on the pizza. I mean, it just makes it better. It's a fucking double-decker pizza.
Well, tell us how about Crypt of the Science Wizard. What have you seen? And who did you talk to about getting that into the VTT realm? Skeeter?
It was all me. It was all me.
That hurts. Oh.
Did you whore him out too? Jeez.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I had that kind of stuff. I don't have time to learn well enough to do it, and I happen to have a network of allies, friends, family, extended miscreants that
highly trained professionals.
I can ask.
People like Jimmy.
I can ask for help, and and we actually made
shameless plugs.
We made pairs of dollars on that.
We became hundredaire.
Yep.
Yeah,
But
we
he's
have
got it in
not.
the guild, and he's got it with Smiteworks. And so away he goes.
It's out there. And I absolutely, it would not have happened if it was not for Jimmy. I could not do it.
I think a more straight ahead game is easier to run on VTT. I think if you've got good mapping stuff and you can take them through the motions and good dice rolling, I think they actually lend themselves extremely well to not having to be physically present.
Oh yeah, I've got some buddies in Michigan that I was running Rappahathic from Frog God Games on Fantasy Grounds, and it was working great.
Well, think about it. I mean, when you're developing in that, and I'm trying to in the conversations, but there were a couple times where there was a little bit of a translation, but you said, "Oh, that I didn't think about that," or "That works really good." There was a couple of small little tweaks, and that you were like, "Hey, I'm running with that." That came right over.
No,
to the side.
It was absolutely just because I am not familiar with that. I don't think about what that can offer to the product. It's not just putting the product in another format. It's like, oh shit, now I get to have shaky cheese on my pizza. Awesome. Fucking A.
I'm shaky cheese. I like that.
You're shaky cheese. Hashtag shaky cheese.
You know what, Skeeter, you're absolutely right. Because I think, well, let me back up. Not too long.
Back that ass up.
And we are referencing my ass a lot.
Gonna be more too.
I'm glad it's only referencing.
True.
Is that what you're calling it these days?
It was maybe 2 years ago. Hashtag shaky cheese. I love it. 2 years ago that I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll try this virtual tabletop crap. We'll see what this is all about. Because I started gaming at the very tail end of 1E. All right. And there's no badge that gives me any special powers for that. Whatever. I'm just putting it all into context. Right.
So you had 4 toppings on your pizza.
Yeah, probably.
All right. Cool.
Right? And then, so I went from a very kind of almost OSR old school feeling game to 2nd edition with their grand storylines and great fluff. And it was a very different game. Right. But I loved them both. And I was solidly, in the middle of both editions. So that kind of colored my thoughts and philosophy, right? That's why we're total party kill games, right? Because, man, exactly. But anyway, so it took me a long time to go, hey, I'm going to try this electronic tabletop stuff. And you know what? The minute I did, I was like, why have I been blowing this off for so long? This is awesome. It's making games better.
And we've talked about it before. I mean, I think you use VTT even in your home games now, don't you? I mean, we do too.
Yeah,
because it streamlines a whole bunch. It streamlines a whole bunch for the DM, and it lets everybody visualize. Yeah, it's a game changer. Pardon the pun.
That may be too much. I'm sorry. It was just there for the taking.
Oh, wait a second. We have a donation on the channel. Can I donate to see Berg's ass? That's from Alyssa. Oh.
And we know for a fact that Skeeter can bribe his way into your hotel bedroom before you wake up. So
that actually wasn't a bribe. That was a threat.
okay, he can threaten his way.
I mean, let's keep this shit straight for legal purposes.
Sorry.
Alyssa did already donate to the channel, so maybe Berg should.
Oh my God!
Extra for twerking. Extra for twerking. She says.
Extra for twerking. All right. I guess there's my first video that I need to make. Jesus.
Live. Damn.
All right, Skeeter. I'm going to put you on the hot seat. Here's a tough question.
Okay.
What would you say to people who are of the OSR crowd who played, OD&D or 1E and are telling people today how to play the game, or that they're better than someone else because they played old school D&D?
First thing I would say is I would probably ask what your qualifications are to even say that. I mean, do you go to conventions and do you run your games for everybody? Do you get the kind of feedback that supports that? Or are you just some person who decides, we
all know the answer to this question.
Yeah. No, I'm seeing how long I can go without saying, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the last thing you say after you eloquently try to understand them.
Yeah. No, I don't. My issue is if you're telling somebody how to fun, you're an asshole.
Right.
You can offer suggestions. Like I am a fan of Call of Cthulhu gaming. See, like if you haven't tried it, you should try this. It's a blast. I will run a game. It will be mentally scarring. It's wonderful. That kind of stuff is fine. I have no problem with that. And I have no problem with anybody having a particular rule set that they are passionate about. That's great. You should have that. But to tell somebody, oh, you're playing Math Finder, you're a douche. I know better. That's not real gaming. It's like, you're an asshole. And I mean, I know people that have said that word for word, and they are assholes. I still associate with them. What?
Someone here's a douche.
I was gonna add to that when you talked about the pizza analogy. It's a good one because back then, not only was that the only kind of slice we had, but we were fighting to have it. Yeah. Like our grandma was condemning us. The school was looking at us sideways. The guys on the fucking football team were like maybe threatening us. And so it was like a badge of honor. So I get it why people weld that on. I mean, people who heard The Clash the first day that London Calling came out, I understand why they are fanboys. Mm-hmm. But I feel bad for them that they're not opening themselves up to at least experience other stuff. Right. It's like time did not stop in 1979, So
the one that builds on what Berg was saying about the OSR thing is also the people who say, why the fuck are all these celebrities getting a bunch of airtime? I don't need these celebrities in my game. They're just Johnny-come-latelys. They're not true fans. It's like,
a whole show on this.
Back that fucking shit up for a minute. Who are you to say, I'll call him out, Joe Manganiello gets more shit from people for being a Johnny-come-lately gamer because he's an actor, he's famous, he's a giant, he's gorgeous. Please, somebody stop me before.
No, you're right. You're right. Keep going.
His eyes he didn't say anything about his ass.
Not yet. I'm still working on the front parts. So funny story about that is last time I was at GaryCon, Joe was actually supposed to be in my game. I think it was Sunday morning, and he got the flu. That's what Luke said. I think is he figured out I was running the game, and he's like, "Fuck that guy! I got better things to
The
do."
restraining order had been
Yeah.
processed. Yeah.
No, but it's very interesting to me that the people who went through the worst part of gaming, where, like you were saying, I mean, you got the shit beat out of you for being a geek, are now gatekeeping that people who are cool that legitimately like the game. We don't want you in there now. Now it's too much. I mean, people say Deborah Wool is bad for gaming, and I'm like, on what fucking level? She's making it more interesting. She's a fantastic storyteller and actress, which only makes her job better. Are you fucking kidding me? That is the narrow-mindedness of gamers is not just for gamers, but holy fuck, we've got a monopoly on it.
Well, I think too the difference between this and sports is like when a team breaks up and they're no longer together and the team starts to fail, you can honestly feel like a moment has passed that you can never get back. But we still have first edition. We still have second edition. We still have third edition. We have all of them. They're still available to us.
Yeah.
Like we don't have to like pine for some lost age. Just find.
If you want a time capsule to capture the era that was fun with you, fucking go to your house, set up a gaming room, and just have it. Don't shit on it for other people.
Yeah.
I'm getting my car. We'll turn on the radio. We'll crank up 1987.
Yep.
Well, like Eddie Money.
It's when people tell me they saw a movie and it ruined the book for them. I'm just like,
oh yeah,
how can that happen?
I've got a ton of friends that are like, oh, I thought that movie sucked. It wasn't anything like the book. And I was like, man, that was 2.5 hours. I didn't have to think about the real world. I fucking loved it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so easy to please that way.
I spent 6 hours on the couch watching the new It and It Chapter 2. And it was not at all the book, but it was a fucking great day.
Sure.
I
All
mean,
one more question for you. I think
hit me.
most people who are watching the show know that you worked with Frog God Games. You probably still work a little bit with Frog God Games, right? So what separates you from Frog God Games in terms of content and publishing? What makes you Skeeter Green Press?
So the genesis of SGP was I worked with Necromancer Games.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I legitimately got my first real break. Casey Christopherson and Bill Webb threw me a bone and let me work on stuff there. And then when Frog God started, after the initial primary owners were starting their thing, I got brought in kind of as a developer, and just what I used to do was take the manuscripts, look at them, go, oh shit, okay, and make it a finished product. That's what I was in charge in. And I did it for a long time. And I got to do some writing, as you do in that job position, but I always wanted to write.
Mm-hmm.
And early on when I was writing and I submitted my stuff, somebody told me, you should not write, you're terrible. And I was like,
that's helpful. Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Yep.
And that it was helpful in my case because I wanted to eventually rub their nose in it.
That's good.
And a few years ago, when Frog God released Bard's Gate, and Casey Christopherson, Greg Vaughn, Matt Finch did a ton of great writing on there, and I was the chef. I took all the ingredients, made it work, added some stuff. It's a fantastic book. I was super happy with that because the first one was sketchy at best. It was not the book it could have been. And this one is still to this day a city supplement I'm very proud of. I think it is a fine product.
I use it all the time.
So what happened with SGP was I got to a point where I was like, fuck, I need to do this. I need to know for me if I can write. And if I fall on my face, then I know I'm a developer. Crypt of the Science Wizard did fairly well. People were very happy with it. I've had a lot of good feedback. I got the one measuring stick I was promising myself was I sent it to Tilo Graf and Zeitgeist for review. And I said,
Love that guy.
I said, be honest, man. I trust your integrity. And I got a review that almost made me cry because that was what I was going to measure myself off of. And he said it was one of the best products of 2019. So
That's great.
Yeah, right on.
I was very happy to get that, but that was some validation that I needed. And now I've got a book on my shelf that's got my name on it, and nobody can ever take that away from me.
Fuck yeah, man.
Yep.
Fuck yeah.
Yep.
So
Skeet,
pretty happy.
did you know that there's some weird coincidence out there in maybe some alternate universe?
Yes.
Casey Christopherson and I should have been gaming together because he actually lived in the town that I live in now for some amount of time. And at some point when I moved up here, there was maybe a course of 5 years where we should have been hanging out, but neither of us knew each other. And then he moved away.
Oh shit.
And I stayed in this area.
Casey is fucking hilarious.
He is.
He
Funny dude,
cracks
yeah.
me up. He is one of the most prolific writers I've ever seen. Great artist, great instincts, great RPG person for getting books out. Incredible. Found a bunch of great cover artists that Frog God has used for their stuff. Really amazing resource.
Absolutely.
And now he lives in my hometown, and I still don't ever see him.
Oh boy.
Unless I'm at a convention at another state.
I'm beginning to suspect this motherfucker doesn't exist.
Oh no, he exists, man. Oh yeah, when he comes to North Texas, it's like a force of fucking nature come blowing in there, man. Great. He's got the long blonde hair like a surfer dude, and he's always like, yeah, he is Spicoli and the dude meshed into one human being. It's fantastic.
That's good. All right. Well, Danny, I guess I want to pass it back to you.
Yeah. Hey, so we're getting around to the second segment of our show where we are going to be talking specifically about how to get that OSR feel that we were talking about incorporated into more modern games, and whether that means stripping things down, adding things in, incorporating what's already existing. We don't know. We're going to figure it out together. Skeeter, are you going to stick around? Do you have time, or do you got to go? Hail Satan.